in a small village called Umola, there lived a woman named Neka. She was no ordinary woman. She was known far and wide as the mystical hair braider. Neka's hands were like magic. With just a touch, she could twist, weave, and braid hair into the most beautiful styles anyone had ever seen. Some looked like flowing rivers, others like dancing flames, and some like tiny rainbows resting on heads. People whispered that her finger moved faster than the wind, and the shines she added to the hair made it sparkle like the morning sun. Her salon was always full, from early morning till midnight. The line outside her small hut stretched like a long snake. Women, girls, even some men would travel from faraway villages, crossing rivers, climbing hills, and walking for hours just to have their hairs braided by Neka. Did you see Ada's hair? People would ask. Yes, it looked like a crown of golden leaves, others would reply. Even if you stood far away, you would hear strangers whispering about Neka's amazing styles. But then, something strange started happening. It began with a girl named Chika. A few days after Neka braided her hair, Chika's scalp started to itch. Not just a little, but a lot. It felt like 1,000 tiny ants were marching on her head. She scratched and scratched until red rashes appeared. Soon, her beautiful hair began to fall off, one strand at a time, like leaves dropping from a dying tree. Within days, Chika's hair was completely bald. Everyone gasped when they saw her. "What happened to your hair?" they asked. "I don't know," Chika cried. "It just fell out." Then it happened again. A woman named Ifoma had her hair braided by Neka. Just like Chika, rashes spread across her scalp, and soon all her hair was gone too. One by one, more people who had visited Neka's salon began to lose their hair. The villagers grew worried. "What is going on?" they whispered. "Is it a curse?" someone asked. "Could it be Neka's magic hands?" But still, the line outside Neka's hut remained long. Her braids were just too beautiful, too special, and some people were willing to take the risk. As Neka braided, her hands seemed to glow faintly, and her eyes sometimes sparkled like the stars at night. Was there something more to Neka than just her magical braiding skills? What secret was hidden in her hands? Days turned into weeks, and the strange happenings did not stop. More and more people who had their hair braided by Neka began losing their hair. Bald heads became a common sight in the village, and whispers filled the air like the rustling of leaves. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, a brave girl named Amara decided to visit Neka's salon. Amara, too curious to be afraid. She had heard all the stories, but she wanted to see Neka's magical hands for herself. "Neka, please braid my hair," Amara said, her voice bold but her heart beating like a talking drum. Neka smiled softly. "Of course, my dear, sit down." As Neka's fingers touched Amara's hair, a strange feeling crept over the girl. A warm tingling that started from her scalp and spread down to her neck. Neka's hands moved like dancing snakes, twisting and weaving with a rhythm that felt otherworldly. Amara noticed something odd. Neka's eyes seemed to flash, just for a second, like a spark of lightning, and her hands were glowing. When Neka finished, Amara's hair was breathtaking. Tiny braids shaped like butterfly wings, each one sparkling as if sprinkled with stardust. The villagers gasped when they saw Amara step out of the salon. "Look at her hair. Have you seen anything so beautiful? She looks like a princess." But Amara wasn't fooled. That strange feeling still buzzed on her scalp. She decided to keep a close eye on her hair and on Neka. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She felt something moving on her head. She jumped up and rushed to a small mirror. As she gently patted her braids, her eyes widened in shock. Tiny shimmering roots, golden and thin like spider webs, were growing from her scalp. They twisted and coiled, slowly weaving their way deeper into her skin. Her heart pounded. "What is this?" she whispered. The next morning, Amara ran to the village elder, Papa Obi, a wise old man with beards as white as clouds. "Papa Obi, something strange is happening to me," Amara cried, showing him the glowing roots hidden beneath her braids. Papa Obi's eyes grew wide. He leaned in close, carefully touching the glowing strands. "This is not ordinary hair," he muttered. "This is the work of ancient magic." "Magic?" Amara's voice trembled. Papa Obi nodded. "Long ago there was a woman who could braid hair with mystical powers, just like Nneka. But the magic came with a price." Amara gulped. "What price?" Papa Obi's voice dropped to a whisper. "The magic steals life. It takes strength from the scalp, causing the hair to wither and fall. It feeds off of the beauty of others." Amara's heart raced. Nneka is using magic to take people's beauty? Papa Obi looked at her seriously. "We must uncover the truth before it is too late." Amara and Papa Obi decided to watch Nneka carefully. They noticed something strange. Nneka never seemed to age. While others in the village grew older, Nneka's skin remained smooth, her hair long and shiny, and her hands soft as silk. And then something even more mysterious happened. One evening, as the last customer left Nneka's salon, Amara and Papa Obi peeked through a small hole in the hut wall. What they saw made their blood run cold. Nneka stood in front of a large clay pot, filled with something that shimmered like liquid gold. She took a single strand of hair, still glowing, and dropped it into the pot. As the hair touched the liquid, Nneka's face seemed to glow even brighter, her eyes sharper, her skin smoother. Amara gasped. "She's stealing their beauty and using it to stay young forever." Papa Obi nodded in agreement. "We must stop her." But how? The secret of Nneka's magic was finally uncovered. But how would they break the spell? The village's beauty was at stake, and Amara knew they had to act fast. That night, Amara could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Nneka's glowing hands and the strange golden liquid swelling in the clay pot. The image of her roots shimmering like tiny snakes beneath her scalp made her shiver. At sunrise, Amara met Papa Obi again under the big Iroko tree in the center of the village. "Papa Obi," she whispered, "we must stop Nneka before more people lose their hair and their beauty." "Yes, child, we must be wise. Magic like Nneka's cannot be broken easily." Just then, a crowd gathered by Nneka's hut. A woman named Oluchi was sobbing loudly, holding her bowed head. "My hair, it's all gone," Oluchi cried. "It was fine yesterday, but this morning, it just fell out." The villagers gasped again. Another victim? Another bowed head? Nneka stepped outside, calm as a still river. "I do not know why this is happening," she said softly. "I only braid hair. I mean no harm." Her voice was sweet, almost too sweet. But Amara noticed something. Nneka's fingers, the ones always glowing, were now wrapped in a thin piece of cloth. Why was she hiding her hands? Amara and Pa Obi exchanged a quick glance. They needed answers. That evening, they came up with a plan. Amara would pretend she wanted another braid, but this time she would watch Nneka's every move. When Amara entered Nneka's hut the next day, she noticed something strange. Shelves lined up with small bottles filled with tiny hair strands. Some were black and others brown, and a few were golden, like the roots growing on her scalp. "Sit, my dear," Nneka said softly, her voice like honey. As Nneka began braiding, Amara watched closely. She noticed how Nneka's glowing hands seemed to pull more than just hair. It was as if she was drawing something from the scalp, something invisible yet powerful. Amara winced. Then she saw it. A tiny golden thread lifted from her head and floated towards Nneka's fingertips. It disappeared into her hands. Amara gasped. "What are you doing?" she shouted, pulling away. Nneka's eyes flashed, no longer soft and sweet, but sharp like a cat's. "I'm taking what keeps me young," Nneka hissed. "Your beauty, your strength, your essence." Amara stumbled back. "You're stealing from us." The hut suddenly felt colder. The clay pot in the corner bubbled softly, glowing brighter with every strand Nneka had taken. But before Nneka could grab Amara again, the door burst open. It was Papa Obi, holding a bundle of strange herbs. "Nneka," Papa Obi's voice boomed. "Nneka," Papa Obi's voice boomed. "Your secret is out." Nneka's face darkened. "You old fool," she sneered. "You cannot stop me." But Papa Obi didn't back down. He sprinkled the herb into the bubbling pot, and instantly the golden liquid eased and popped. The glow started to fade. "No!" Nneka shrieked, her body shaking. "You don't understand. Without this magic, I will..." She didn't finish her sentence. Suddenly, her long shiny hair began to thin. The glow around her skin started to dim. Wrinkles crept across her face like a tiny cracks in a dry mud. The magic was breaking. Amara watched in shock as Nneka's true form was revealed. Not a young, beautiful woman, but someone much older than anyone had ever seen. Her hands, once smooth and glowing, were now frail and bony. The villagers, hearing the commotion, gathered at the door and gasped. "Is this Nneka?" one woman whispered. "What happened to her?" another asked. But the magic wasn't fully broken yet. Nneka, though weak, longed for the pot, desperate to save what was left of her youth. "Stop her!" Mara cried. As Nneka longed for the pot, Papa Obi acted quickly. He grabbed a small calabash of water and poured it into the bubbling golden liquid. A loud hiss echoed through the hut as the pot cracked down in the middle. The glowing liquid turned dark and thick like mud, and the last bit of Nneka's magic vanished into the thin air. "No!" Nneka cried, falling to her knees. Her once silky hair had now turned thin and grey, and her glowing skin was wrinkled and rough. The villagers stared in shock. "You stole our beauty to keep yourself young." Tears streamed down Nneka's face. "I was afraid of growing old, afraid of being forgotten," she whispered. "I thought if I stayed beautiful, people would always admire me." Papa Obi shook his head. "True beauty does not come from hair or smooth skin, Nneka. It comes from a kind heart and a pure spirit." The villagers murmured in agreement. Without her magic, Nneka's salon closed down. People slowly regained their confidence, and though some had to wait for their hair to grow back, they learned to see their beauty beyond their appearance. Amara became a hero in the village, not because of her hair, but because of her courage and wisdom. As for Nneka, she lived quietly and alone at the edge of the village, no longer a magical braider, but a reminder to all that vanity and greed could twist even the most talented ants. She died a lonely woman. After a few months, she couldn't bear the shame and took her own life. And so the village of Umola learned an important lesson, that true beauty is not what you see in the mirror. It's the kindness you show and the love you give. Hair may grow and fall, but a good heart shines forever. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you in my next video. God bless you. Bye-bye.